Please take off your glasses. Sit in a comfortable position. Close your eyes. Clasp your hands. Cross your feet. And focus on your breath. Keep your focus on your breath. Yogena chittasya padena vacha malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yopakarotam pravaram muninam Patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi atha Patanjala yoga sutrani prathamo-dhyayah Samadhi padah ath yoganuशासनम yogaschitta vritti nirodhah tada drashtu swarupe vasthanam vritti sarupye mitaratra vrittayah panchatayah klishta klishtaah प्रमाण विपर्यय विकल्प निद्रा स्मृति प्रत्यक्षानुमानागमाः प्रमाणानि विपर्ययो मिथ्या ज्ञानमत द्रूप प्रतिष्ठम शब्द ज्ञानानुपाति वस्तु शून्यो विकल्पः अभाव प्रत्ययालंबना वृत्तिर्निद्रा अनुभूत विषया संप्रमोष स्मृतिः अभ्यास वैराग्याभ्याम तन्निरोधः तत्र स्थितौ यत्नोऽभ्यासः सतु दीर्घकाल नैरंतर सत्कार सेवितो दृढ़ भूमिः दृष्टानुश्रविक विषय वितृष्णस्य वशीकार संज्ञा वैराग्यम तत्परम पुरुषख्यातेर्गुण वैतृष्ण्यम वितर्क विचारानंदास्मिता रूपानुगमात् संप्रज्ञातः विराम प्रत्ययाभ्यास पूर्वः संस्कार शेषोऽन्यः भव प्रत्ययो विदेह प्रकृति लयानां श्रद्धा वीर्य स्मृति समाधि प्रज्ञा पूर्वक इतरेषाम् तीव्र संवेगानामासन्नः मृदु मध्यादिमात्रत्वात् ततोऽपि विशेषः ईश्वर प्रणिधानाद्वा क्लेश कर्म विपाकशैर्परामृष्टः पुरुष विशेष ईश्वरः तत्र निरतिशयं सार्वज्ञ बीजं स पूर्वेषामपि गुरुः कालेनानवच्छेदात् तस्य वाचकः प्रणवः तज्जपस्तदर्थ भावनम् ततः प्रत्येक चेतनाधिगमोऽप्यन्तराया भावश्च व्याधिस्थान संचय प्रमादालस्य वीरति भ्रांति दर्शनालब्ध भूमिकत्वानवस्थि तत्वानि चित्त विक्षेपास्तेन्तरायः दुख दौर मनस्यांग में जयत्व श्वास प्रश्वासा विक्षेप सह भुवः तत्प्रतिषेधार्थमेकतत्वाभ्यासः मैत्री करुणा मुदितोपेक्षाणां सुख दुःख पुण्य पूर्ण विषयाणां भावनातश्चित्त प्रसादनम् प्रच्छर्दन विधारणाभ्यां वा प्राणस्य विषयवती वा प्रवृत्तिरुत्पन्ना मनसः स्थिति निबन्धिनी विशोक वा ज्योतिष्मति वीतराग विषयं वा चित्तम् स्वप्न निद्रा ज्ञान लंबनम वा यथा भीमत ध्यानाद्वा परमाणु परम महत्वान्तो स्ववशिकारः. That's until 40, Madhavi.
Yeah. Ask them to come out of meditation.
Okay. Take a deep breath in and out. Please come back to your body, come back to your surroundings. Take your palms to your eyes and slowly open your eyes. Welcome. Namaskar to Patanjali Yoga Maharshi and our Patriji. Madhavi, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Prachi. I see Raji, a new.
That's my dad, Madhavi.
Oh, Namaste ji. Your daughter is doing such a good job. And one more Raj Goyal. Your dad only? Maybe. Yeah.
Namaskar ji.
Yes, signed in 2 places.
Okay.
Now I want to close the one because it was on the phone. I closed the phone. आवाज आ रही है मेरी? मेरी आवाज आ रही है आपको?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes.
हाँ, नमस्कार जी. आज प्राची ने मुझे बोला कि आज ज्वाइन करके देखो कैसा लगता है आपको, तो I joined that one.
Oh, that's really nice, really nice. Yeah. Good to see you, Raji.
Thank you ji.
And Sonam didn't join, right? She sent me the video. I will. Oh, first let's do the chanting. Prachi finished, and Ravli shared the. Aruna?
Hello everyone. So from which
We'll do 40 to 50.
40 to 50, okay. Classes. Paramanu parama mahatvam tonsya vashikaraha kshina vritterabhijatasya manergrahi grahana grahyeshu tatsya tadanjanata samapattihi तत्र शब्दार्थ ज्ञान विकल्पैः संकीर्णा सवितर्का समापत्तिः स्मृति परिशुद्धौ स्वरूप शून्येवार्थमात्र निर्भासा निर्वितर्का एतयैव सविचारा निर्विचारा च सूक्ष्म विषया व्याख्याता सूक्ष्म विषयत्वं चालिंग पर्यवसानं ता एव सबीजः समाधिः निर्विचार वैशाराद्येऽध्यात्म प्रसादः ऋतंभरा तत्र प्रज्ञा श्रुतानुमान प्रज्ञाभ्यामन्य विषया विशेषार्थत्वात् तज्ञः संस्कारोऽन्य संस्कार प्रतिबंधी. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Aruna. Madhu? You're on mute, Madhu. So not many people are there. Sailja, do you want to chant?
Yeah, you go ahead, Madhavi. Then I will do, okay?
Okay.
Or if you wait for 1 minute, then I will do. Or you can do first.
I'm trying to open. Madhu, are you? Where are we?
I will do it after Shailaja Madhavi. I'm opening my drive to look at the PDF. Yeah.
I think most of us are doing the same thing. So
Okay, I'm ready, Madhavi.
okay, go ahead, Saija.
From 40.
40 to 51.
Right?
Yeah.
40 to 51. Okay. परमाणु परममहत्वान्तोऽस्य वशीकारः क्षीणवृत्तेरभिजातस्येव मनिर्ग्रहीतृग्रहणग्राह्येषु तत्तदञ्जनता समापत्तिः तत्र शब्दार्थज्ञानविकल्पैः संकीर्णा सवितर्का समापत्तिः स्मृतिपरिशुद्धौ स्वरूपशून्येवार्थमात्रनिर्भासा निर्वितर्का एतयैव सविचारा निर्विचारा च सूक्ष्मविषया व्याख्याता सूक्ष्मविषयत्वं चालिङ्गपर्यवसानं ता एव सबीजः समाधिः निर्विचारवैशाराध्येऽध्यात्मप्रसादः ऋतंभरा तत्र प्रज्ञा श्रुतानुमानप्रज्ञाभ्यामन्यविषया विशेषार्थत्वात् तज्जः संस्कारोऽन्यसंस्कारप्रतिबन्धी तस्यापि निरोधे सर्वनिरोधान्निर्बीजः समाधिः.
Thank you, Sailja. Madhu?
Yeah. क्षीणवृत्तैरभिजातस्येव मणेः गृहीतृग्रहणग्राह्येषु तत्सतदञ्जनता समापत्तिः तत्र शब्दार्थज्ञानविकल्पैः संकीर्णा सवितर्का समापत्तिः स्मृतिपरिशुद्धौ स्वरूपशून्ये वार्धमात्रनिर्भासा निर्वितर्का एतयैव सविचारा निर्विचारा च सूक्ष्मविषया व्याख्याता सूक्ष्मविषयत्वं च लिङ्गपर्यवसानं ता एव सबीजः समाधिः निर्विचारवैसारध्येऽध्यात्मप्रसादः ऋतंभरा तत्र प्रज्ञा सूत्रानुमानप्रज्ञाभ्या मन्यविषया विशेषार्थत्वात् तच्च संस्कारोऽन्य संस्कारप्रतिबन्धी तस्यापि निरोधे सर्वा निरोधा निर्बीज समाधिः.
Thank you, Madhu.
Thank you.
योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचा मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि अथ पातञ्जलयोगसूत्राणि प्रथमोऽध्यायः परमाणुपरममहत्वान्तोऽस्य वशीकारः क्षीणवृत्तेरभिजातस्येव मनिर्ग्रहीतृग्रहणग्राह्येषु तत्स्तदञ्जनता समापत्तिः तत्र शब्दार्थज्ञानविकल्पैः संकीर्ता सवितर्का समापत्तिः स्मृतिपरिशुद्धौ स्वरूपशून्यो वार्धमात्रा निर्भासा निर्वितर्का एतयैव सविचार निर्विचारा च सूक्ष्मविषया व्याख्याता सूक्ष्मविषयत्वं चालिङ्गपर्यवसानम् तायेव सबीजः समाधिः निर्विचारवैशारद्येध्यात्मप्रसादः ऋतुम्बरा तत्र प्रज्ञा श्रुतानुमानप्रज्ञाभ्यामन्यविषया विशेषार्थत्वात् तज्ज संस्कारोऽन्यसंस्कारप्रतिबन्धी तस्यापि निरोधे सर्वनिरोधा निर्बीज समाधिः इति पतञ्जलि विरचिते योगसूत्रे प्रथमः समाधिपादः. Thank you all. So I think everybody has done it. So let's get into our explanation session. Honestly speaking, guys, I did not prepare for my speech. So I hope you guys will finish by 11.
Yeah, I have a meeting too, so I think we have to I may have to leave also.
So Sonam, she said she'll join late, but she has sent it finally. I'm very glad that she sent it. I'm playing her video.
Sutra number 40, which goes like Parmanu Param Mahatvantosya Vashikaraha. So Parmanu means extremely small, Param Mahatva means extremely big, Anta means as the end, Asya means belongs to, and Vashikaraha means mastery. So in this sutra, Patanjali Maharshi is trying to convey that by achieving the stability of the mind through all the techniques he mentioned in previous sutras, techniques of chitta prasadanam like meditation, concentration on one object, understanding dreams, and last couple of sutras, by achieving the stability of mind through these techniques, one can easily get mastery, or one can easily understand the smallest and the biggest mysteries one might be wondering about. So in short, when one's mind is calm and stable, and after following meditation, concentration, and other techniques for chitta prasadanam, the mind becomes a superpower, and it is able to understand all the small, minute things and big things which it could not comprehend earlier. So this is what I understood from Sutra 40. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonam. And next is Deepika. So I'll play Deepika's. And I'm so happy and I'm so glad that you guys are not able to join, but still sending the videos, audios. Really nice. Patanjali Maharshi is influencing us by being disciplined. So this is Deepika's.
Hi everyone. Sutra 41 goes like this. Kshina vruter abhijatasyeva mane grahitru grahana grahyeshu tatastha tadanjanata samapattihi. Here the Patanjali Maharshi is talking about the kind of states or the benefits that are bestowed to the seeker who is in this path of Samadhi Yoga. So here it says that, in this sutra it says that the one whose compulsive cyclical activities, that is the vrittis, which are subdued, and the mind is clearing up like a crystal, he attains the capability of being established as one with all the activities of being the consumer, the act of consumption, and the consumed. That is, in any interaction in the outside world, the sensory inputs is happening. When it's happening, there are always three entities. The one is a perceiver, the other one is a perceived, and the other act is a perception, or the one grahatir is the consumer, and then grahana, it is the act of consumption, grahyeshu, that is the consumed. So when the seeker is in this path of Samadhi Yoga, then when the mind becomes tranquil and it becomes like a crystal, flawless crystal, then all these three entities in a transaction attain the state of oneness. So everything becomes one. So this state is called Samadhi.
Thank you, Deepika. So, Aruna?
So the next is 42, and it says Tatra Shabdartha Gnana Vikalpai Sankirna Savitarka Samapatti. So here Shabda is a word, sound, Artha meaning, Gnana is knowledge, Vikalpa means with the options, Vikalpai with options, Sankirna is a combined, Savitarka accompanied with cross thoughts, and Sampatti is engrossment. So the Samadhi in which sound, meaning and resulting knowledge being mixed up is called Savitarka Samadhi. Here Padma Amma really has made provided us great clarity here. She said that she more emphasized on this word Savitarka Samapatti. So she also mentioned that until this stanza, Patanjali Maharshi has not really emphasized on Samadhi Sthiti yet. So here still we are talking about Savitarka Samapatti. So she has provided some examples also. Samapatti, in whichever you are in Sangam, you get attached to that but not become part of it yet. So whatever we hear in words, that is Shabdam, our mind grabs the Shabdam and then it responses with the meaning that it has the background, right? So Pratispandana, that is like it responses, and that is the knowledge. So here three things are involved in Savitarka Samapatti. Shabdam, Artham means meaning, and Gnanam, that is knowledge, is together called Savitarka Samapatti here. So even though it is like kind of a Sanskrit word, Savitarka Samapatti, it's like it has inner meanings, like it involves three actions. So for instance, she has example provided is like, for instance, we listen to a sloka, Saraswati Namastubhyam, or she mentioned that. And so we can, if we know the meaning of the actual sloka, we immediately get connected to it. Similarly, anything, so the reason why we are doing this Patanjali Maharshi Sutras is, Patanjali Sutras is because they are too good in daily implementation, but we just because we don't know the meaning, we are just ignoring the importance of how we can even take that knowledge in our daily lives. So as we are going through, now we can see that even though not myself, but at least we are seeing some of them here who are deeply, deeply involved, like Madhavi and Prachi and Ravali, everyone. I think I can see that they're almost bringing out daily examples also from what they have so far understood the meaning of the sutras so far. So they are able to relate in their daily life. So that is the actually how much knowledge we can gain by just getting the inner meaning of anything. So we have everything. The knowledge is, divine knowledge is already there. So the reason why even the PMC like Patri sir insists us to do this Sajjana Sangatyam or Swadhyayam, main reason is once we have that knowledge, we can read the books, we understand the inner meaning of it, then we enlighten ourselves because our minds get that knowledge. And Shabdam, right? Where even Swadhyayam, you listen to Patanjali, even like I can see that people who are joining new, just listening by the meaning of it, right? Next time when they hear that, they can relate to that meaning. So it is she has emphasized that it is very, very important that we need to understand the inner meaning of the sutras. And then I myself thought about Sitayanam, for instance. Earlier, we know Sita as we watched in movies or we read Ramayana, what is Sita, but we really don't know what exactly her characters is, right? So once we know, we read the Sitayanam, now when somebody says Sita, now we are ready to say, no, Sita is this, because we know in and out what Sita is from her childhood days. So that is how the knowledge is bliss actually here. So I really like this just because all this brings to why we are doing this even Patanjali Sutras, because to get to that stage of Savitarka Samapatti stage. So if we want to test ourselves, are we in that stage? Not Samadhi. Samadhi is the highest, but Savitarka Samapatti stage, at least when we listen to, say, suppose I read Parayana, Baba's Parayana, right? When I hear the audio of Baba's stories or any Parayana of Baba's Satcharitra, I immediately get connected to him, and then I can just be part of that character, and I can live in that Baba's time. Just because I know in and out of, like, I cannot say, but I'm like so attached to him, and I get connected. So similarly, whenever you read a book or anything, you that's why they insist that you have the actual physical book, because you get connected to that energy, right? So that is the test that you pass Savitarka Samapatti if you feel that you are connected whenever you listen to Shabda and then get connected to that meaning. So next time, Patanjali Sutras, if we can remember all the sutras so far what we have completed, if we know the stanza and if we know the meaning, then I think we are enlightening ourselves, we are making progress, and we are getting to the next level. So that is what I have understood. And even Padma Amma also mentioned that that's why as you listen, as you get connected to these energies, then your karmas are also cleansed, and you are moving to that greater levels. And that's why we need this Sajjana Sangatyam to be in association with like-minded people who are in similar ways. So I think we can see a small group here, but at least we all have common interest that we need to understand Patanjali Sutras here, right? So by doing such things in Sajjana Sangatyam, Satsangam, we are getting purified eventually. So, and we get to next levels of until we reach the Samadhi, and then next level, there is never a stop, there is never a completion. But so I really like this stanza, and that's how it says. So practical application of this sutra, somebody was also saying that most of the things we try to understand in the objective world is via a quick blend of language, the object itself and its meaning. So try to see the object as it is without any preconditioning. Also, that's what they said. Like, sometimes some people say something, but don't attach, don't be open also. When you hear a Shabda, don't take somebody's words, but when you know yourself, your own knowledge, that is what is the divine knowledge, that somebody was also saying. So even relationships will improve if you know personally a person, not by hearing somebody saying something about somebody, but so know yourself. So don't have that preconditioning, like I heard some of them saying about this sutra also, just how you can practically apply. So yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you, Aruna. Looks like you have quoted quite a bit of Padma Amma's example. They were really nice. You told that, right? I mean, like when we are doing this Patanjali Yoga Sutra with very good intentions of knowing what it is, how it is, and keep on listening over and over again, I personally feel that a lot of changes have come internally for me. And it is not, I mean, sometimes I feel I don't know how much of knowledge I have, but I think maybe the subconscious or Patanjali consciousness is helping me to clear a lot of layers of emotions that we have kept it for a long time. That really changed my life. And today morning I was just listening this Sanskrit channel. One thing that Shabdartha Jnana, he gave one more example. I just want to quote that. When you take the Nadi river, right? I mean, I'll just say Nadi. So in that, the Nadi is just Shabda, like take that as a Shabda. And Artha, the meaning of the Nadi is the Artha. I think he gave one more example of, like the meaning of Nadi, like how it gives life to the people and what, like to the people around, and then the trees and everything, like to the humans too, right? That is the Artha of Nadi. And then the Jnana he talks about is, what it is like, you can see it. I mean, the meaning is that, but what we see it like, it is giving, because there is Nadi, there is water, it is giving us the life for the trees, for the humans. And that is the Jnana. By looking at it, we are seeing. So that thing was really, I felt very good. I felt like I didn't do anything.
It was very beautiful.
Yeah.
Read that example, and what it says, Nadi is na comes from the word where the is Dampatya. It comes from the word Dampatya, which means abundance, the abundance. And now I forgot, you actually said it. It basically, the river of abundance, it's basically, I forgot the na. While you were saying, I remembered, and then I forgot it. But it was a very beautiful example, because Nadi as such, we know as a river.
Yes.
All I know is river. I've never thought beyond what Nadi can really mean, the actual Artha. The actual Artha was very, very beautiful, that example that he gave.
Yeah, very true. Nice.
Okay.
Honestly speaking, today morning, I said I didn't even listen once. I have to listen once at least, and then with full attention, I heard. So that is why that was really good example that I think Padma Amma also gives a lot of examples for us to understand, because these are all the concepts that are there and you can't see with the physical eye. So that is what makes it difficult to understand and to grasp it. And when they give this kind of examples, it really helps us to understand better.
Yeah, I totally agree. She has made it so simple. And we are actually trying to translate that in English. That is also, there is some communication gap, I can say, because maybe I would have said this better in Telugu. But to bring everything in English language, right? There is I'm losing sometimes the charm
essence.
of it.
Yeah, the essence of, sometimes you feel that you have lost the essence of it, or charm exactly. Of it. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, we are trying our best. Yeah.
I think everybody knows explaining in their mother tongue is so much easier than
easier, right? Easier, and then we also get connected more.
Yes, very true.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
And next, Prachi.
Okay, so the 143 is Smriti Parishuddhau Swarupa Shunye Vartha Matra Nirbhasa Nirvitarka. Smriti means memory. Parishuddhau means purification, upon complete purification. Swarupa Shunya means devoid of its own form, where there is no identity left. Artha Matra means only the subject meant. Nirbhasa here means illuminative. And Nirvitarka means without a gross thought. So, when there has occurred complete all-round purification of memory, which is the mind field, which is the chitta, as it were, devoid of its own form and illuminative of only the object signified, it is called Samadhi without a gross thought. Now, as with Savitarka Samadhi, the object of contemplation is an object perceptible by the senses. Nirvitarka Samadhi differs in that object, is now fully known, so the process of examination is complete and hence comes to an halt. So, for example, here, in the first 41 sloka, they talked about the consumed, the consumer, and the consumed, right? So the same way, we transcend the difference between them. We transcend the limitations of the meditator, the act of meditating, and the objective meditation. So, for example, here, when we objective meditation basically is like anything that we use outside to meditate. For example, we go somewhere and we saw this tree. When we see the tree, we really like the tree and felt like we want to meditate on that tree, right? Looking at that tree. So when we sit down to meditate, while we are doing the meditation, we are not only looking at that tree and doing a meditation, we will also, the smriti of where that tree is located will also come at that time. The time we looked at that tree, that we really liked it, we'll look at that, that's also come into the smriti. How did we reach to this tree will also come to the smriti. So there are other factors that will come to the smriti while doing this meditation. But later on, when you go back later on, just from the smriti, if you remember this tree, beyond the time and space, or without the time and space, if you just remember that object and then you do a meditation from the smriti, that basically is called nirvitarka samapati or nirvitarka samadhi. Samadhi is the final destination, but yeah. So what here, the tree is the object of contemplation, but then there are other factors that our senses are seeing, where it is, what time it is, the space and time and everything. But when we go beyond, when we transcend beyond the space and time, and we contemplate only on that object where the earth is remain. And Madhavi, you just gave example of Nadi. So far, if I'm looking at the Nadi and I want to meditate and sit there, again, I look around the meaning of Nadi, the river, but when I know now that I know the actual earth of Nadi, which is the abundance, that it gives the abundance, I will only remember that, only the earth remains, only that essence remains. And then I'm doing a meditation on that, which is where I'm beyond the space and I'm beyond the time. So this is what nirvitarka samadhi is. This is my part, Madhavi.
Yeah, thank you, Prachi. Actually, in as I said, I was listening to Sanskrit channel. What he mentioned is two things, Savitarka and Nirvitarka, right? So Savitarka, what he said is, like if you can clear your vrittis, and then that is Savitarka Samadhi. And the Nirvitarka Samadhi is clearing your vrittis with the chitta. So if you can clear the impressions that are there in your chitta, then that is Nirvitarka Samadhi. Like whatever the explanation that you gave, plus this one, will give you like a clear picture of what Savitarka and Nirvitarka Samadhi is.
Yeah, this is where I understood, looking at that tree only. The only thing I remember is that tree. That's all. I don't want to worry about, no other impression should come to my mind when I'm doing later if it's a Nirvitarka Samadhi, only that tree came to my mind, not where I said, not the other senses, the impression of other senses.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So that is the essence. Yes, definitely. That, I mean, it's really interesting, like how.
And it's very deep, I mean, what I have talked about, or what see, there is also, he also said this in the Sanskrit channel, is when you are meditating and when you go beyond beyond your senses, and you achieve the Nirvitaka Samadhi, okay,
Yes.
Nirvitaka Samadhi. But even in that thought, if you know that you achieved it, it's diluted, it's gone. So this morning, for example, and I kind of sensed this morning when I was doing a meditation, somewhere in a very deep state, I saw myself as actually learning Sanskrit. I don't know what I was reading, but I was very well aware of, I was reading something in Sanskrit in meditation. And then within few seconds, it came to my senses that I was reading something, and I forgot every single thing. Like the thought that was so real to me, like as if I'm there right now and I'm doing this. The moment it came to my senses, it went away. Everything was wiped down. Like I forgot about it, what I was doing. The only thing remained was like something I was reading in Sanskrit. So, but that time it was just so pure, as if I'm doing it, as if I'm some Rishi Muni or something or the other. I don't know exactly. But this is what he said. Even the realization of in the senses of the thought that you have reached to that samadhi is itself a hindrance.
True, very true.
It was very deep actually.
Yeah. Now Balagaru, she has sent her audio, so I will. Actually, she did the chanting also. I'll play both of them.
Sutra 44 explains about Savichara and Nirvichara Samadhis, which are similar to Savitarka and Nirvitarka Samadhis. Here only the difference is the practice is upon here the practice is upon the subtle objects or elements like tanmatras. But in Savitarka and Nirvitarka Samadhi, the object of contemplation is a deity or a candle perceptible by the senses. Here, the tanmatras are energies of sound, touch, taste, color, sight, rather than objects perceived by the senses or jnanendriyas. In Savichara Samadhi, the process of understanding the causes that brought the object into being happens using subtle elements and intelligent and wisdom. In Nirvichara Samadhi, it is beyond insight, means that there are no further insights into the nature of the object of contemplation. There is complete knowledge of the object of contemplation down to its subtle essence. Here in this samadhi, the state goes beyond mind, enters prana, and then enters into buddhi. Here there are no thoughts or analysis. Seer becomes seen and becomes one with Parabrahma. That is, he doesn't see any duality, non-dual. In Savitarka Samadhi and Nirvitarka Samadhi, the objects of contemplation is gross, which is a deity or candle. But in Savichara, Nirvichara Samadhis, the object of contemplation is a sound like Om or a light. Imagining a light in your heart or at the Agnya Chakra. I think that, those are subtle elements. Object of contemplation, subtle elements.
Thank you, Andi Balagaru. Madhu?
Yes. So my sutra is sutra number 45. Sukshma Vishayatvam cha linga paryavasanam. Sukshma means subtle. Vishayatvam means subjectness or something having a topic or subject. Vishayatvam, Vishaya is the subject. Cha is and. Linga is something which doesn't have an attributelessness. If we can try to understand that later, which cannot be defined. Then Paryavasanam means culmination or an end point or leading up to something. What is that leading up to? That is the Paryavasanam. So Sukshma Vishayatvam cha linga Paryavasanam. So the meaning is subtle objects can be traced back to their origin in undifferentiated nature. So here, what is happening here? What Patanjali Maharshi is trying to tell is what happens in deep stages of meditation, or what is the aim of meditation. So that's what he is trying to tell in this sutra. So if we go to little more detailed explanation, here, as we go deeper into our meditation, we start experiencing the subtleness of the objects, right? That they might end up reaching a stage of no attributeness or the attributelessness, which is called the alingana state, which is also an endpoint of understanding of that object. So if we are focusing on an object, first the object is there, then slowly the object becomes nothing. You understand, and that the essence of the object, from where it is coming and everything, and there is the starting point. You go to the starting point of that object, the origin of that object. So to understand that properly or deeply, we need to understand the Sankhya theory. So Sankhya theory here talks about two primordial elements, which is the Prakriti and the Purusha. Purusha is the spiritual element. Prakriti is the natural or the nature element, which means the thing that gives form to that object or a person. So when these two things merge, the Prakriti and the Purusha merge, they give birth or rise to the life for both non-living and living things. So when the Prakriti and Purusha meets, when they both merge, that is when the life is given into either a living or a non-living thing, right? So everything around us is made of some or the other way when these two elements meet. Everything, living and non-living both. So when we are meditating in deep states of yogic practice, we are going against the grain of this evolution of Prakriti evolving, Purusha evolving, and Prakriti and Purusha merging further and deeper. What we are trying to do is the reverse engineering. We have an object, but we are trying to go to the origin of that object, from where it came. So we are doing the reverse engineering here. So now as you go backwards, you are trying to understand the subtle stages through which this evolution has happened. And you actually reach to a point where you can understand the Alingana state, where this Prakriti and Purusha first merged together, where that thing happened. And this concept is, for us, where we are trying to understand this sutra, not very easy to understand. It is a little difficult, but that's what we are trying to do. The Alingana state is the counter evolution or the re-engineering, going backwards to that state where Prakriti and Purusha met. Now we can do this either by an object, how this Purusha and Prakriti merged, or with the subtleness within yourself to focus on. So for, like, if you take for an example an object has or if we think of a subtle, to have this more understanding, Prakriti, what Prakriti has, it has elements like 5 action elements, 5 sense organs, the tamas, and 5 elements in the nature. This is all part of Prakriti. Apart from this, we have, if I have to list all those things, then the 5 action limbs are hands, legs, speech, reproductive organs, and the secretion organs. And the 5 sense organs are eyes, nose, mouth, touch or feeling, and ears. And the 5 elements in nature are air, water, fire, earth, and ether. Apart from this are the manas, which is the mind, buddhi, which is the intellect, and ahankara, which is the ego. So all this combined together are the elements of Prakriti. When this Prakriti meets the Purusha, that is when it manifests, right? So when you start going back to these sections, that is from Vishesha to Avishesha part, like the manas, buddhi, and ahankara, and then we are going back to linga matras, which is the mahat section, or the symbolic union of Prakriti and Purusha, where we are going back to the union. For example, the sperm and egg, when it is merging, if you go back there, and finally going to the alingana state. This is all reverse I'm talking about. And if we are going back to the alingana state, where the stage where we actually see the attributelessness, or no Prakriti, no Purusha, nothing. So we are going back and back from something to nothing, the point. So that is what is alingana. So in meditation, we go to the minuteness point of union to understand the complete or the totality of the Prakriti and Purusha, and understand the total essence of how that object has come out. So that is what is this sutra. Sukshma Vishayatvam Cha Linga Paryavasanam.
Thank you, Madhu. Ravli?
Yes, hi, Madhavi garu. Hello, everyone. Great wisdom sharing today. Yeah, thank you, Madhima. I felt like whatever you're talking today was reflecting on the 17th Sutra that I was supposed to talk today. So, yeah, I'm going to revise on between the Sutras 17 to 22. So these sutras, after talking about the previous sutras, we talked about the compulsive states of the mind and what are the means of control that we can use to bring down these vrittis in the mind. And then he further takes us to the subtler states of meditation, what you come across. So as Madhu ma'am said, that when you start meditating, you go through these 4 sub-regions that you encounter when you start meditating. So this process is more towards an involution process, as ma'am said, reverse engineering, an involutionary process, rather than an evolutionary process that you use your sense organs to contemplate over the Prakriti, but you're using shutting off all the sense organs and you're involuting towards the origin itself. So this is the states of Samadhi. In this particular sutras, Patanjali master has given us that all this while we have been using our sense organs towards the external. Now, when you shut down the sense organs and you go involute, you go inwards, then we will see the inner world. So it is giving us the stages that we might come across when you start contemplating on these inner worlds. So now he finally speaks about this practice of Samadhi. He differentiates it into 2 aspects. One is Samprajñata Samadhi and one is Asamprajñata Samadhi. So the 17th Sutras talks about Vitarka Vichara Ananda Smita Rupanugamat Samprajñataha. That is, he talks about the Samprajñata Samadhi. Now we are entering, you're taking that first step towards the Samadhi, the practice. So now in the initial state, we need to understand the Samprajñata Samadhi in the context that you are still using your mind apparatus. Your intellect and the I-ness and the manas is still at the play. You are using all these apparatus to understand the Samadhi state. So here, the yogi still uses his mind apparatus to understand this state of Samadhi called Samprajñata Samadhi. So it's very important for us to know that just by closing our eyes and random practice for a few years doesn't take us to that Samprajñata Samadhi stage, because it is a very progressive process and it requires a lot of concentration and meditation. And the mind must acquire one-pointed, laser, crystal clear focus of attention complete attention and complete control of mind apparatus is very important. So now the Samprajñata Samadhi is of 4 stages. That is Savitarka Samadhi, Savikara Samadhi, Sa-Ananda Samadhi, and Sa-Asmita Samadhi. So Savitarka Samadhi is more on the practice, on the contemplation on the gross objects, as Bala ma'am said, and we've talked about it. The concentration is more here on the gross objects. That is, we need to understand that the mind is always, it's like continuous vrittis keep on coming. So we need to put that pure focused mind on a particular object. We start with a gross object. We go in depth towards that object, understand every mechanism of which the object works. And then we go into that subtler state of the Savikarka Samadhi. So I got an example here when I was understanding Savitarka Samadhi, the first state. That is, you see scientists today, right? From the
We
past
can't
centuries.
hear you.
We can hear her.
Oh, you can't hear me? Sorry.
No, I can hear.
Ravali, we can hear you, Ravali. I think, Madhu, it's on your end. Why don't you exit and come again, Madhu?
Okay. So in this first state of Samadhi, that is Savitarka Samadhi, I remember this example, like when concentration is upon the gross
Sorry, it's my
objects.
internet.
Yeah, concentration
Sorry.
is on the gross objects. That is how today's scientists, right? They, in the past centuries also, they take up a task, they focus, they put their complete concentration on that particular object or an experiment, and then they come out with beautiful results. So that complete focus and concentration on the gross object is important. That is that first stage. It is also a state of Samadhi. But the problem here is that a lot of people get stuck here. They don't move forward. They think that this is it and they have achieved. But the Arishad Vargas keep on playing here. Now there is another state, that next state that we can go into is called as Savikara Samadhi. That is, we contemplate on the subtler elements. We are reverse engineering. So we move from the gross, state of the object. You go into the subtler elements. You go at the level of atomic molecular level, at that level, and you get complete control of that particular aspect of the entity in itself. So this is a beautiful example that is given in the book Autobiography of a Yogi, where there was a yogi who came to the place of Yogananda, and he was very prominent. He was very well reputed because he was able to bring any scent of the flower onto the person's skin. He had that level of control over the subtler elements at the atomic and molecular level. So he can manipulate those at the level of atoms and molecule and bring that particular aspect of scent into the skin of the person. But that is not the ultimate stage, right? That person got stuck there, and then Yogananda mentions there that what is the use? What is the purpose of it? What can the person do with it? So we need to move forward. So we need to further contemplate on ourselves, further do a lot of meditation and move from that Savikarka Samadhi to Ananda Samadhi. We experience this kind of blisses in our meditation, but we don't sustain it for a very longer time because the mind apparatus is still again at play. So the Savikara Samadhi, even for Savitarka Samadhi also, there is an example of Ravana also. That man had complete control over everything. Panchabhutas and everything. But still he was stuck at the level of Arishad Varga. He could not progress more into his life. So when the third state of Samadhi comes here, that is Ananda Samadhi, that is, you experience bliss, you experience joy, you experience all these abstract forms in itself. So the person get stuck also in that state of Samadhi. We should not get stuck. We should not get stuck or get attracted towards that bliss movements and everything. We need to contemplate and move further. That is the fourth stage, which is a very, very difficult state, which is the state of Sa-Asmita Samadhi. That is I-ness. Here the person, it's very difficult. One need to experience it, but to put it in a in the terms of language, you can say that the person starts seeing himself as the I-ness. The egoity part comes in play, and he starts seeing himself with an I-ness. That is, okay, I am experiencing this particular emotion. So there is an I inside me that is going through that particular joy, bliss, or everything. So that I-ness, that ego-ness comes face to face, and he understands that the particular state of Samadhi where now he needs to move above that I-ness to understand the Asamprajñata Samadhi. So this particular I-ness thing comes face to face with the person in that particular fourth state. So we need to understand here is that a person who goes or who reaches the state of Samprajñata Samadhi, we need to be very careful because the person gains newfound powers. So we should not become again slave to them. Just like, Jesus had all the powers. He could create another earth, or Sai Baba had all the powers, but he never used it for themselves, but there was a greater use for those powers, so that we don't get chained with those desires attached to that. So we need to contemplate on that particular aspect. So now there is a second state. Now you, after this particular samadhi, you go into the next samadhi, that is asamprajnata samadhi. So now the complete cessation of mind with its both klishta and aklishtas, everything is at stop. Now the whole mind apparatus, intellect, everything is at stop. Now what is it left with? It is left with the chitta with its samskaras in it. So now all those buried, unmanifested samskaras, they are sitting in our memory bank that can still come into your conscious mind when a proper opportunity or a trigger comes into. So now the person gets pulled again into the worldly experiences. So whenever we are above ego, that ego feeling, away from these past impressions and away from that, then that person is purely operating at the level of blissful, pure consciousness. So we can say that the person has incarnated or come on to this earth plane just to go through the Jivan Mukti state. We can take examples of Buddha, we can take examples of all our Maharshis, so that they are away from the cycle of birth and death. They are away from, they are operating through the level of asamprajnata samadhi, above the level of I and egoity. So to attain this, first and foremost, we need to understand the nature in itself, because we try to run away from nature. We want to go to some place or some particular, go do tapas and everything. Then what we need to understand is that the nature always follows us. So what we need to do first is that we need to completely understand the nature, then bring it under our control, push it aside, practice the detachment thing, and then get liberated from the nature. Because the nature will always follow us, and instead of going away, we need to try to get it completely under our control, understand every nuance of it. Then that Purusha, which seem to be entangled in the Prakriti, will be finally free. Once that understanding, knowledge is of the particular nature is acquired by the Purusha. So now he says about the later thing, that is what happens here is that he goes into the 19th sutra, that is Bhava Pratyayo Videha Prakruti Layana. So he says that even though you practice little Samprajnata Samadhi and you leave the physical body, it won't go waste, because whenever you manifest again, then you come back with that particular memory of that thing and you work from that particular place. Then he says that suppose you have mastered the gross elements without going into the subtler elements, then you become the controller of the gross elements in the nature. So if you have stopped at the practice of at the level of Asmita Samadhi, then you have reached at the atomic and molecular level, complete control of the Panchabhutas and everything, then you become one of the Siddha Purushas, or the gods that we call as the Indra, the Varuna, the Agni, and so on. So according to Hindu names, by whatsoever names in different religion you can take, you can see that how much ever you need, they have to come back to this physical form, go through that whole process of that samadhi to just get liberated. But otherwise they keep on circulating in those whatever the powers that they have gained. So it's very important for us to move forward, not to get stuck, and to know that we are nothing but the God consciousness, not at the level of the I-ness. So for that, how much ever siddhis or how much ever you have attained, you have to come back to the university and get that degree, and that university is only at the level of this planet Earth and this whole human thing, the attachment and detachment things. Then only we can attain that level of Samprajnata Samadhi. So here I remember an example of even Vishwamitra, because the man who has turned from king to the Brahmarshi stage, Vishwamitra is the best example of that, because he has faced numerous difficulties along his journey towards becoming Brahmarshi, because this man was always tackling with greed, jealousy, and anger. This man has done so much amount of samadhi and meditational practices, and even he had created an alternate heaven, they say. And Indra got so jealous of him, he actually feared of him, and he had sent Menaka. But when he came out of his meditation, after so much everything contemplating, getting control of the entire Panchabhutas, elements, the all-knowing knowledge and everything, that man fell to his desire, and later he again went to tapas, and he kept on conquering his aspects that were there in his chitta, the greed, jealous, anger, and everything, all the negative emotions.
So he continued with intense sadhana for many years until Lord Brahma appeared, and Lord Brahma, pleased with his austerity, called him as Brahma Rishi. So after facing thousands of years of massive problems, Vishwamitra was finally called as Brahma Rishi because he conquered all these elements. He moved away from the level of I-ness. So for this, that person can achieve this asampragnata samadhi by faith, vigor, memory, contemplation, and discernment. Because faith is very important in any journey that you take up. Faith on your guru, faith on the practices that you do is very, very important. And vigor and energy is also very important, because once you get that knowledge, you have woken up. Now you can't pretend that I don't know everything, I'll sleep, I'll do whatever I'm doing regularly without this, because I don't have knowledge. That was an excuse. But with the knowledge, you need to have put a goal, you need to have a purpose of your life. You can't give excuses, you need to move forward. Now we need to endeavor energetically, otherwise the Maya will keep on equally energetically pulling us towards the dark side. So it's very important to have that vigor and energy once you want to attain that asampragnata samadhi, because Vishwamitra never fell down. He always got up and he did the tapas he wanted to do until he achieved it. Next is memory. Memory is very important because as we move forward, we experience a lot of things. A lot of experiences are like our wisdom. So they get stored in our chitta, they become the part of our memory. Now we need to use this memory as a means that you don't repeat the mistakes which you have repeated earlier. Otherwise, we get stuck there and we keep on repeating the same mistakes and we'll be rotating in the same circle again. So we need to use our memory properly, contemplate it, and move forward rather than feeling sorry, empathy, or showing pity on ourselves. Next is we need to have focused intellect. A one-pointed intellect and discrimination is very important because it puts your goal forward, because it helps you to see your goal like a magnifying glass. So that's very important. Next is intelligence. We need to use that, attain that God realization by taking care of all these things. We need to take care of a physical body, family, work life, everything. We can't say that this is nothing to do with me. I'll do only this japa and I'm not going to take care of the samsara that I'm in. No, that you should not do that. You should be very, you should do the effort very intellectually, not a foolish effort should not be done. So one who does all this with keen interest, with that quest and thirst, following the middle path, the asampragnata samadhi is achieved very quickly, but the time depends on how the practice is, how intense is, how slow-paced or intense or medium-paced it is. That determines a person in achieving his asampragnata samadhi. So this is the whole summary of between 17 to 22 sutras. Please add anyone if I missed upon anything.
I think you have that. What did you say, Prachi?
I said very beautifully she explained.
Yes. And you added more than you needed to add, Ravali. So very nicely explained.
Before we go next, I want to make sure whether Ravali will be there at the end, because I have a question, not question, but just a doubt. Otherwise, we move forward and then I'll ask Ravali.
No, we are done. We are done for the day.
We are done. Okay. Ravali, are you there, Ravali?
Yes, Shalja ma'am. Yes.
Yeah. When we are talking about Vishwamitra, because everywhere it is quoted, we can talk here about Indra also. Indra is also feeling jealous, means he has not attained it. It is like that only, right?
So yeah, but Vishwamitra was later called as, Vishwamitra had issues with Vashishta Maharshi also. They had a little tug of war which made him to turn from king to sage. That's when he decided that I don't want to be king. I want these external things are not the reason. Knowledge is very important. So he becomes a he comes into meditation, right? But later a stage comes where Vashishta comes, where in Brahma comes, everyone comes and says that you have attained that state and now you are called Brahmashi. But that was not given to Indra, I guess.
Okay. But even then, nobody has attained that stage. I'm saying even Indra also, like in our world, only in the physical world, if anybody goes beyond our skills, then we the one who tries to pull down. That's what Indra also did too.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. One other thing, if we have time, I would like to add is not Ravali, a wonderful ma, but what Prachi said, I remembered something. When you said you were sitting during your meditation, you were having a vision of learning something, right? But when the sense of I came, I am learning, that I brought you back into your senses. You know, that I-ness is so hard. It is so close to us, like our skin. It is so hard to take that I, that ego, not ego in a bad way, that sense of I. Yeah. So I know this is so hard.
Just coming into that senses, you know, just,
yes.
And it is very normal in day-to-day life, like, oh, I did this, or, you know, in general saying also, when we say, okay, this happened to me, or I was doing this in my meditation, but then we don't realize that how powerful that I is.
At the same time, this is something learning. But if we feel that, oh, I am so happy, this is so blissful, I am in bliss, even then that I pulls you down again, pulls you back into this thought, you know, the physical form from that feeling. So I know, just we have to enjoy and keep going, rather than even feeling that I, or happiness that we are doing that, or happiness, anything. If that comes, then we are pulled down into this earth. Yeah. So maybe this helps us next time. And I would like to ask if you have any doubts or questions or clarifications on my sutra when I said the reverse engineering part. Does anyone have anything to add or clarify?
No, I think you explained very beautifully. I understood how you said about the reverse engineering. Then you talked about the, you know, going back to the black hole, and then, you know, Prakriti, and how oneness comes in the Purusha and Prakriti. So
yeah,
it was very beautifully explained.
Okay, thank you.
Ravali, I forgot to tell you, you explained very nicely. Every time I wait for your thing, and I just wanted to say that it was so like when you talk, no, it flows like a river, and the full attention is required because it goes so fast. And not even a second we can get.
Fast, yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
so much of knowledge just flows in.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
My
ma'am.
question
Thank
was
you.
immediately when you're talking, immediately Indra came into my mind, and he said he is also doing the same thing like how normal human does. That's what I thought.
Yeah, but Indra comes into that state of samadhi where he has savikarka samadhi, right? He has complete control over the subtler elements.
Yes, yes.
So, yeah,
I have a question. If it's
Even
okay to ask.
I have a question too, but after Surekha, sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, this might be a little off topic, but yeah, Patanjali Maharshi is suggesting all these sutras very well. And Ravali ma'am gave, you know, the beautiful example of Brahmarshi, Vishwamitra and all. But as a human being, like what we are trying to learn, like, you know, especially when we take Patri search, like Madhya Margam is like, you know, balance everything. We'll not be like Brahmarshi Vishwamitra level doing the tapas and all, going into that state of not using I in a day-to-day life, especially when you're working in a field where you have to use I. So my question is like, you know, what is that you want? I think it's the individual choice probably. Either you want to become like Maharshis, Patanjali or Vishwamitra level of doing that, then you don't need to use or go into that level of, you know, controlling your senses or not getting into that level of whatever the moksha or liberation. But for us, like, you know, we are all gathering here, it's beautiful discussion, but what is our goal? Are we going to that level of detachment or vairagyam, or going away from, you know, family life? No, right? We are still in our everything. We have responsibilities, and we are in our madhya margam right now. So taking that, I feel like I came in. So it is very difficult not to use that I part. That is what I'm thinking. So maybe you all can add points. I feel like it's good to know that what Patanjali Maharshi is talking about, what samadhis are, but at the same time it should be our own, what do you say, vichakshana jnanam antar kada. So you have to know where or how far you want to go or what stage you want to go. That is my understanding. So please add if anybody wants to add. Thank
I guess
you.
the sutra come here, Abhyasa Vairagya Vyam Tannirodha. So with Abhyasa and Vairagya, we'll be able to achieve whatever we want to achieve. And then I think Aruna said or somebody said
It's
that
my sutra
why
last week.
the why do we want to know, or why do we want to know where we want to go? Wherever it's taking you, just take that step. And somebody just said, either Balagaru or somebody said that we don't it just slipped out of my mind, that we don't want to know, we don't want to get attached to, because there is no stop where we want to go. As it comes, you take it, so sometimes I feel that we don't want to know, we don't know what is the highest level, and we don't know where we are, what level we are. Sometimes we say, I think sometimes we say we are not yet at Patriji's level. Many people would say this, we are not yet at Patriji's level, or any Maharshi we are talking about, or anybody else we think as a meditator. We will say, oh, I am not yet to the highest level the way you are. But we don't know what highest level they are at. We don't know what highest level Patriji is at. So I feel until we don't know the levels, and again, that will come with Abhyasa and Vairagya, where we're practicing detachment in everyday life. And by practicing whatever we are learning, more and more will automatically open up, and we will know what is our next level. Although the next level will become the simpler again, then again we want to go to the next level. There is never a end level. This is what I think.
Right, but at the same time, there is a free will. It's up to person, like whether they want to go. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, that is individual choice only.
What you said, Sureka, is true. It is totally up to each person's willingness or goal that we have. And the reason why we are learning all this is to know that these are all the things are out there. So it is up to us which one we want to approach to. I mean, like as we all know, this knowledge that we are gaining, it is not just for this life, but for the lifetimes to come. So if it is in our knowledge, then
I missed actually. Madhavi. I don't know what you said.
Madhavi, we can't hear you.
I think this point came in because when we were discussing about I think, it is not. I think Ravali ma'am wants to say something.
Ma'am is talking. She is unable.
Yeah, she is talking something, but I'm not able to hear anything.
Even I am also unable to listen.
I think we have to send a message to her.
Yeah.
She's not able to hear us.
So Sureka ma'am, I'll
go ahead.
Here we need to understand.
Yeah, tell me, ma'am.
Skill path is very important, and I told you one of the 4 aspects that you can use for attaining Asampragnata Samadhi is intelligence. You need to take care of your physical body, family, work life. Do it very intelligently, not a foolish effort. It's very important. Now you see with the Maharshis like Vishwamitra or Buddha or anyone, we need to understand that these people have went through their family life. They have seen what is it necessary for all the 360 degrees. And this was the final stages that they have taken up to finally merge with the all-knowing oneness. That is the ultimate. You have to go back. You might take 800 lifetimes or 1000 lifetimes. That depends upon your abhyasa or practice. He says, how will you attain Asampragnata Samadhi? He says that it depends on your intents, whether you're slow-paced, medium-paced, or you do it very intensely. Right? So this space is very important. So if you're further stuck with the clutches of this illusionary world that you have taken up, you will take much more time. That's it. There's nothing. That's why Patri sir says that why hurry, no worry.
No worry. Yeah. And also this, thank you, ma'am. And the samadhis, right, what we were talking about. So it will, which level will determine that, okay, you'll not have a rebirth. Like,
That is when you know that. See, I have come across this book called 26 Diaries that is written by Lahari Mahasaya, where Mahavtar Babaji came and he told that it's high time that you go and give Kriya Yoga to the people, because people are thinking that Samadhi and are everyone leaving their household life and they're going towards the forest and doing meditation. This is not right. What do you say? Lahari Mahasaya stands for that idea that a person can reach that state of all-knowing consciousness by being in samsara. He got married, he had kids, he used to do his job every day, and he used to sit in meditation and he used to do whatever it's required for this family life, but simultaneously he did the meditation and he attained that life, attained that state. And it's beautifully written in that diaries of his, where he started to first see himself away from the God. He used to see that there is Babaji and then there is me. Then there came a state where he said that I am Babaji, and then he said that I am above Babaji. He didn't mention the word Babaji, he went above it. He went into the final consciousness. He attained that state towards the end.
Lahiri Mahasaya. Okay.
Lahiri Mahasaya. There's a beautiful book on his, written by one of the Kriya Yoga masters, who Lahiri Mahasaya said that it's high time you bring this book outside. He wrote everything in his diary, how the stages went.
Yeah.
It didn't come out. Recently I bought the book. After listening, I have to read it. But this was the context.
Okay. So he got that liberation. So basically,
Yes.
he'll not be born again.
Yes, and you also need to understand that masters like Buddha and everyone, I told you, these people, they come with that state. They are already in that asampragnata samadhi state. They have come here to work to create that awareness, whether it's Jesus or everyone. They're no longer on that karmic cycle. They're above it. Even Sai Baba. Above it, because I was watching Sai Satcharitra, this serial in Set India. In that Sai Satcharitra, there was a scene where Sai Baba had to little bit he didn't tell a lie or something, but he just did not even accept that information. It was not even a negative talk or lie or anything, but he said that, oh, I don't know, maybe he just told it, and that person just to save his bhakta. But later on that day, we know about Sai Baba leaving his body, and for those days, right? He left his body for 3 days.
Yeah.
So he went there, he contemplated on his karma and he came back.
Right.
He went there, he did whatever he could do in the astral world and he came back. So that was the story on that. So these people are away from there. They're already in the state of asampragnata samadhi, already above the level of I-ness. They're working from there.
Right. Yeah, he also says like somewhere like, the Maya is not leaving me. So even for those people also.
Yeah. If you do 1 step of practice, Maya will do 10 steps of practice to pull you back.
Right.
So that is the whole dynamics or the matrix that we are in.
Yeah, good point, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah, I think, why this question arose because of when we say I, because we use that I a lot, even like, doing regular chores, even though maybe it's not triggered with tenses or anything, like as Prachi also mentioned earlier. So that's when I was thinking, oh my God, then, we'll not be in samsaram. Then we have to go into like rishis or, it's not going to work like that.
That's why they
probably
say,
we have to use I, Yeah.
No, sometimes you remember, like, who follow ISKCON. Lot of times they feel like it's not me or I who is doing, but it's the Krishna doing it. Krishna Arpanam. For everything they do that. They feel that it is Krishna who is making them do it. It's not them.
Yeah, feeling is fine, Madhu. And what I'm saying is, like, when you're working or when you're in the house also, I told you this, or I made this,
that is
or
why
I am
work
done.
is different from relationship and family.
Yeah.
Like wherever you are, follow
Rekha
that.
ma'am, I think it requires a lot of practice and lot of detachment. It's not easy to put it, to say it. We are surrounded by I-ness. We need a lot of practice and detachment, because next I think Madhavi ma'am will talk about Ishwara Pranidhana, doing every work as if the God is making me to do it. I'm just an instrument. That kind of having that kind of thought in your mind and doing it in everyday work is the state of thing that we need to achieve first.
Yeah. I think that's a good point.
Yeah. So
everything they say Krishna Arpanamastu.
Yeah, these people, they work in the Krishna consciousness. They see that they are just an instrument and Krishna is working through their body. their mind and everything. So they don't
Yeah.
get so they're already practicing detachment because they're not attaching to anything. They're not saying I did it.
Yeah.
Right?
See,
True,
what
true.
Sureka has been telling has a point, right? I mean, like if you are living into day-to-day life, you
Yes,
cannot
yes.
say Krishna Arpanamastu. And I mean, like it all depends on which circle of people we are talking to. You know, like when you say I at any time, the other people should not, I mean, they don't have to know that you're talking about either your physical I or your antaryami I, right? When you have to feel that. If you can feel that it is the antaryami that is telling you or antaryami that is making you do, it doesn't matter what comes out from the mouth, because the bhavam of what you feel is more important than what comes out. Because as Madhya Margam, it is not easy to live, but at the same time, Lahiri Mahashaya has lived the life. He wanted that kind of life, and then he lived the family life, and I hope you guys can hear me now.
Now we can crystal clearly.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Awesome.
So Lahiri Mahashaya has, I mean, like he lived that life in that way, and then he has attained the moksha, what he has to get. I mean, it is not, whatever work that he has done, he never publicized, but he was recognized for the work that he has done, right? So when I say I, I mean, you can hear me as physical I, but what I mean of I is maybe different. That is what matters, and that is what we need to focus on.
Yeah, and also are you telling from your true sense of I, or is it coming from the ego? If that difference you're making it out and understand that, I think so we have already moved one step further.
When you say I, it doesn't have to be ego. It can
That's
be.
what I'm telling.
It can be the
only
confidence.
you can know. Only you can know whether it is coming from the ego or is it the truth within you that is coming, the true you speaking.
Because I mean, I personally felt like when I started saying I a couple of times, it is telling me that it is not you that is who is I. It is the antaryami that is within you. So when you are in the path of this spirituality, you'll get your buddhi will talk to you, and you will start listening also, and then you will change it because you want to change it. And in this samadhi state that he talks about, when he says nirbija, the savitarka and nirvitarka samadhi, if we attain those two states, that is when we are in the spiritual, that is when you are called as a spiritual person. So those are the two vrittis and chitta. If we can control those, that's when you can be called as a spiritual person. Until then, we are in the path of spirituality. We are not a spiritual person. And to get into this, to being a spiritual person, there is a lot of hurdles that come across. But definitely with the group effort and group energies that we have, we all can attain it. And the conversations that we have from the social circle to the spiritual circle changes a lot. But is it perfect? No, but we still need to work on those things. Just because we are doing meditation, doesn't mean that we are a spiritual person. We are in the path of spirituality.
Very true. And nowadays I'm seeing one difference in me. If I'm doing one work, I only wanted to focus my 100% attention on that only. If I'm doing this class, I want to focus on whoever is speaking, 100% on that speaker. If I am doing any other work, like practicing music, I want to do that only. If I'm cooking, I want to cook only. If I'm washing dishes, I want to do that only. I do not want to multitask at all. I don't know. I have seen that difference in me, and when I'm doing that, I feel a lot of something vibrating in me, that energy. I don't know, from last Friday when Padmavati madam's session happened, if I close my eyes for meditation also, I don't want to see on my third eye space. I want to see inwards into my body. I do not even want to see the Brukuti, because even I feel seeing Brukuti, focusing on Brukuti is also looking outwards. That is what is my feeling right now. I don't know why that is happening to me. But when I do that, I feel I can see what's inside me, what my body part, the activity happening, the cell vibration in support of my body parts and energies. So and it brings so much happiness when you are focusing on one thing and enjoying. You get the true essence of whatever you are doing, is my understanding. So just understanding chanting the sutras is the first stage. Understanding the meaning of the sutra is the second stage. That is still knowledge only. Only when we practice those sutras, not all, but at least some of them, that becomes wisdom for you. And when we can, as later on if we learn, we can practice all the sutras and experience those in our life, and then I think so the changes happen one by one. Like the reverse engineering here, you understand, right? There is nothing to something happened. The combination of Prakriti and Purusha happened. After that, we have masked it with ego, Manas, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara. We have all those masks and dust on our soul. After that, with all these perceptions, we have become who we are today. We have to go back to, again, re-engineering and go back to the essence. And that is what we are trying to do, learning all the sutras, I feel, today with my 45.
I mean, what I tell everyone is each and every person's journey, either you take the day-to-day life or the spiritual life that you have, it will be different from each and every. I mean, like if there are trillion people's journey will be different. So the reason why we do this Sajjana Sangatyam is so that what you're going through, maybe I have passed through that, or maybe I am going to get into in my future. So, okay, these are the things that may happen, right? Because this kind of feeling, this kind of things that we go through, we don't see with our physical eye. And when we tell people also, then they may think, oh, maybe because you're not capable, that's why you cannot do it. But in spirituality, oh, this is the phase that she's going through. So that is what she needs right now. That is why you are going through that. Like this kind of broad outlook that we will get. And regarding, I wanted to say something, I think it slipped my mind, but yeah. So, it is all the part of growing spiritually. Regarding the sutras, right? Definitely we have to practice. If we don't practice, then that is not, it is not complete. Knowing, learning, chanting, all those are good, but practicing is the main essence of what it is. But unless otherwise we feel how that sutra impacts us, we cannot express it to them. You can tell the theory, but when you have the theory with practical, then you can express it better with lot more vibrations and energy levels, and the other person can also reach those things. And regarding the sutras, what I felt personally with this Patanjali Maharshi is when I need something, that particular sutra comes to me without my knowledge in the sense, because my buddhi is giving me those sutras, because it's in the subconscious mind, right? That's what they talk about, like your chitta is there all the time. Many times it is in this dormant state, but when it is needed, when that particular kind of emotion strikes you, that chitta will raise like a fire, and then you will get emotional. The same way, like when you need the sutra for you, then that sutra will come to you. But it's just that you have to be in the Patanjali Maharshi's consciousness, and then it will happen to you. What Maharshi says is, Padma Madam has said, like, you don't have to force yourself to do certain things. That has to come mrudu madhyanga, like it has to come mruduga, like, like softly it has to come. You don't have to force. That kind of sadhana, we have to do it, so that way it will come. And I think after this, we will end the session. It's 11:30. I think Jyoti, you joined the first time. We just want to hear your feedback, and we'll end the call. Teluguloనే మాట్లాడందరు, తెలుగు వాళ్ళే ఉన్నారు. Oh, except Prachi. Can you talk, Jyoti? Okay, I think she must be busy. So let's end the call, guys. And very good Sajjan Sangatyam, very good questions, Sureka. And these kind of questions will really give us a lot of thoughts, and then it becomes challenge, and then we start thinking more deeply.
Today was a beautiful session. Very nicely.
Yeah, true. Very true. Maharshi is helping us to be more interested and more interactive and gain more knowledge. He's there with us.
On the Sutra 42, where we talk about the Savitarka Samadhi, while everybody was talking, this was going, in the Sanskrit channel, he talks about sound, Shabda and Artha for Savitarka Samadhi. So I was, and then he gave the example of Nadi also. So while somebody talked about the chanting and everything, the first stage is chanting, the second stage is getting the knowledge or understanding the meaning, and then getting the knowledge. Thinking, isn't that the same thing? The Shabda is basically is a sound, a sound which is a chanting, which is the first. The second one is Artha. And the third is basically the knowledge. And jnana. So the chanting and we are, the first one is Shabda, which is the sound of chanting. Then comes the Artha, which is the meaning we are trying to understand. And right now we're just understanding the meaning, right? But actual when it will hit us, when it will come into complete chitta, we'll feel it. That's when the actual the essence will come. So the next, that nirvitarka, somehow I cannot say that word today.
Nirvitarka.
So that Samadhi, basically once we are done studying and practicing, and we'll come to a stage where we start talking about Patanjali Yoga Sutra, and only the essence is left when we are chanting or whatever it is. When the sound comes, we are not differentiating between the chanting, the Shabda and the knowledge. There's only the essence is left. What Patanjali Yoga Sutra is. When we come to that level, we have reached to that Nirvitarka Samadhi. So,
yes, I guess, Prachi, because we are still in Samadhi Padam only, right?
Yeah.
But when Sadhana Padam comes, maybe we will learn how to practice all these, and when we start practicing, we will see the difference in ourselves. Maybe, I don't know. I didn't yet come there, right?
Yes, definitely Sadhana Pada will help, because I think that's what Maharshi also wants. Once he's giving you all the knowledge, and then he's telling you how to practice it. That will really, that sadhana will really help you. There is no practical aspect as such. I wish there was how they have explained it. If they had a practical session, like for vrittis, what do you need to do? For chitta, how to conquer chitta, and to, I guess, well, we have to figure it out.
I'm sure now you said it, there will be somewhere it is hidden. It will come out.
Madhavi, do we have Padmavati Madam session today?
Prabhavati Madam, yes.
Prabhavati Madam, session today?
Yes, we do have it. Yeah, good thing you reminded me. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, guys.
Because last time was very wonderful. I really didn't know it was 45 minutes that we meditated blissfully.
Yes.
Very nice.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Great discussion.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Eventually, we all need to go from that state of Prajnanam Brahma to Aham Brahmasmi, Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma, and Tattvamasi. So this will happen no matter what this is, but enjoy the journey. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Yeah, bye. Hopefully in this lifetime.
Thank you, everyone.
Lot of practice, Madhu ma'am, lot of practice.
Yes.
Lot of opening up, lot of practice. Involution and evolution, both is important, not only involution.
Sure.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.